All right, guys and ghouls, welcome to yet another Talking Nerdy podcast, Halloween edition. My name is Travis,
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Sam.
and today we are going to be talking about Halloween. But Travis,
2018
isn't that the
though.
holiday? Exactly. Halloween 2018. the
Parentheses
movie.
2018, the movie.
Yes. So if you go back to our Scary Movie Musts podcast, Abigail and I have both said like Halloween is like number one scary movie, Halloween movie. Gotta see it.
So good.
1978.
Yes, and they just came out with a more or less sequel to the franchise, but it only acknowledges the original film.
Yeah, which I love that they did that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like I feel like they got to this point in the 70s and 80s where you're just cranking out all these sequels to these movies, and it just the continuity gets so screwed.
Yeah,
Right.
Looking it up, we were like, there are like 3 separate Halloween
Timelines,
timelines
yeah.
and
Yeah.
universes.
The
and
Rob
it's so
Zombie
strange.
reboot and all that, and
Yeah.
the sequels of that reboot. And then, So, yeah, that was, I mean, it is 40 years to the day later.
Yes.
And you see the return of Jamie Lee Curtis and the return of...
My queen.
right? And the guy playing Michael Myers is it's the original
The
original actor who only
Yep.
did that one movie.
And
He
got
wasn't
paid,
Michael
like,
Myers in
25
anything
bucks.
else. $25 a day, yeah. Hope they paid him
The
more this
Shape.
time.
The
The
shape.
Shape, yeah.
I love
His
that they
credit.
referred to him that
Yeah.
as that
Yeah.
in the movie. Like, oof,
Yeah.
It was good.
good
So I
stuff.
guess what should we start off with, I suppose? I mean, obviously there's going to be spoilers, so if you have not seen the original or if you've not seen the new one, go watch both films. They are both great.
I feel
Yeah.
like we should start off with saying if we liked it.
Okay, yeah.
Just
Alright.
like give a general review, maybe like scale of 1 to 10, or
I
maybe
think
compare
that
it
is
to
a
the
good
original
idea.
a little bit.
Right. What is...
Okay.
Sorry.
Aaron, get off your phone.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, well, okay, 10 being what? Best movie ever or best
I would say 10
Scary-
being the best Halloween ever.
Halloween?
Best Halloween film.
Oh, of the franchise.
Yes.
Okay, well, I've only seen number 1 and number 2.
Honestly, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's true, especially since number 1 is not. I think that I still like the original better.
Okay.
So the original would be 10, but this would be like an 8.5,
Okay.
on
Oh
that
man,
scale.
you stole my rating.
Yeah? Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Okay, so you both gave it an 8.5. That's a solid score. That's pretty up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 8.5 to
Because
9.
there were many, many things that I loved, and there was a couple things that I didn't, and I guess we could get into that. But,
So,
what
I-
about you?
I'm going to give it the same rating IGN did, a 9. I think
A
it's
9?
a solid
Okay.
9. I feel like in some ways I definitely do like it better than the original.
Oh, better than... Okay.
But kind of for me, the gold standard's always going to be number 1 because it's like if the first one wasn't so good, if it wasn't so successful, there would have been no sequels to follow.
Yeah.
The mythos wouldn't have attracted the attention that it did.
It sets the
So-
tone.
Yeah, but I honestly I love this movie very much. I think it's probably going to be my new favorite like Halloween season movie,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's a classic for the modern age.
Well, and I would give it a 10 out of 10 for modern Halloween season movies. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I like it better than anything that has come out in October for the last 10
the
Octobers.
past 40 years.
This modern era of
The last
horror.
40 years.
So,
Yes.
Yes.
I think so my favorite thing was the parallelism of the cinematography.
Yeah.
The lining up shot for shot recreations of original shots, but with different characters or the same characters filling a different role.
and the kind of twists on those shots as well.
Right.
Exactly. I like.
You know, with the pumpkin shot in the beginning. Can we talk
Oh
about that?
yes.
For a
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
let's start at the very beginning.
Oh my
The,
god!
the original font,
Yeah, the instant that
The
orange
jack o'
font came
lantern,
up.
you know.
Sort of scratched, faded, glowing Halloween. Just that warmed my heart the minute I saw it.
right?
Much faster than the original, but that's because the original took a million years to slow
True.
zoom in on
Yeah,
that pumpkin,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
credits
Yep.
rolled so slowly.
So this one they did
It's
speed
definitely
it up,
again a
modernized.
modern twist.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I love that they had that time lapse of that kind of decayed pumpkin,
In reverse.
like coming in reverse, because it's almost like foreshadowing, like something that has been dead for a long time is coming back. You know?
Yeah, I was about to say that it's the rebirth.
uh-huh.
It's like it's
Yes.
Halloween again. You thought it was over.
Yeah,
You thought the pumpkin was rotted.
but alas, it has come back through time and space and defied death and creation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly how I felt. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I do. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
I was just about to say I do like the parallel cinematography because I feel that it was like just enough callback, but like not like pushing it in the audience's face. Like, hey, remember? Do you remember what you liked about the first one? Because that's what I
Yeah.
have a lot of problem with like reboots or sequels so much later. Is I feel like that's
Yes.
usually what the writers do, but I think with the way that this one had like the same actors, same characters and things, and similar shots. I don't know. I feel like that was just like it wasn't thrown in your face, but if you know the first one well enough, it's something like aha.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I was just like squealing with the classroom shot. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good.
Her in the back corner.
Oh my gosh, it was
Looks
so
out the
good.
window, but instead
Just
of Michael
like the
Myers,
first one, but it was
Yep.
it's
Laurie.
Laurie standing there. Yeah.
That was my favorite little callback shot.
Right. Now, let's see. Another big difference is the one. Michael Myers kills way more people in this movie. Mm-hmm. You
I don't know about way more people, but he's definitely more random about it.
Well, in the original, he only kills 5 people. That's it. 5 people die.
Well, how many people died in this one? It was about 5. Okay, no. Okay,
Well,
I take that
well,
back because the
well.
bus.
The bus and the gas station. He killed like 6 people just at that gas station.
I guess that's true. I guess for me, it doesn't feel like a lot because of the pacing of it.
Well, it's spread out. Yeah, he doesn't go
Yeah.
on a mass murder killing spree.
yeah.
And not
Like,
every
I guess,
kill is on camera.
And that's the other thing that I kind of think of is like leading up to him donning the mask. That to me, he's not quite the shape yet. He's still Michael, and like when I think of like the kill scenes, I think of he's in the house, he's behind them, and they don't see him.
And the knife.
He's got
not,
the knife.
Not the hammer, not his bare
Yeah.
hands.
I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting though, because she puts down the knife. That scene, like she puts down the knife and walks away, and he has the hammer, and like he chooses to use the hammer instead of the knife for that murder when he could have easily picked up the knife.
But then he goes back for the knife.
yeah, he goes back for the
Of
knife, but I
course.
was like, damn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like a much more brutal way
Yeah.
I wanted to make a
to
statement.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and it was really weird because, like, as far as the performance of that whole sequence and kind of this return to using the knife, it almost evoked this feeling of, like, you know, kind of like what we said, rebirth, reawakening, and, like, he's trying to remember who he is as the masked shape.
That's true. It's been 40 years.
You know,
40
it's...
more years.
Yeah, it's almost like reacquainting yourself with an old way of living.
Yeah. Well, that's like when he puts on the mask. Yeah. What he does
What a
just to get the
dramatic
mask
shot.
back, you know.
Yeah.
Kills those podcasters and
I really wish he had left the dude alive just because, like, I thought he was going to, like, slump back and pretend like he was dead.
yeah.
And then, like, maybe come back in a sequel or something.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there was
Um,
plans for that. We'll never
Maybe.
know.
That's true. Yeah, there had been initially the rumor of this being 2 films, and then it seemed like they just decided on one, but they can always
I
re-decide.
was gonna say,
Of
from what
course.
I read about it, they're like, we know where we would go with a sequel, but I think we're good. Like
Yeah.
we're done.
And I agree.
I think I can kind of see that in some of the writing as well, where it's like,
For
oh,
sure.
I could see where that like a sequel could play out through this, but then they sort of cut that short.
Yeah, like, it ended and we didn't see a body.
Well, that's just like the original.
Questions.
You know, the
Yeah.
Halloween, it always leaves a certain amount up to your imagination.
Yeah.
Especially in the original, you don't actually see blood. You know, this one, of course, had a lot more actual
I mean, the
blood,
original
but
one though, like
the budget.
that was
yeah.
It was the budget, but also like there were scenes where he'd like choke someone, and it would go on for a long time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily like less gruesome; it was less gory in their.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it was still very gruesome.
It was like an
But I mean, it was an
intimate
indie.
murder film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's talk about Laurie.
yes.
So, you know,
So-
Jamie Lee Curtis coming back to the role, but
Yeah.
that one night has dominated her entire life.
Yep.
Leading
Do you
her to
feel like
be-
that's an organic decision as far as the evolution of the character, or do you think that maybe that was kind of shoehorned in,
Well, I think
like just as a way to make her seem like badass apocalypse mom?
no, because
I didn't see her as badass.
it still
but as,
shows
like,
her as broken.
paranoid. Yeah, she does like go
It's just
to like
sheer
dinner with her
fear.
family.
Yeah.
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 And like has breakdowns, and she goes and sees Michael getting like on the bus or whatever,
Yeah.
and is freaking out.
And
I think I feel like it was organic because they sprinkled in those emotional moments. If it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for him, then I'd be like, I don't know about this. But
She-
she's still
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much like affected by what happened.
well, and she had
Yeah.
two marriages and a kid, so she tried to have a life. You know, but just at the end of the day, Michael was still just in her head.
Yeah.
And so I think that makes it more not just like this happened and I've just been training ever since because I want revenge.
Well, yeah,
Like,
and I'm
it's
not
it's
trying to
because
say
she's
that's what
just
it is.
Afraid.
Yeah.
She
But, like-
trained out of fear.
The thing that gets me is after going through an ordeal like that and seeing the effect that the trauma's had on her, even if she wanted to lead a normal life, like, I just feel like it would be really difficult for someone that's been through that to be in an intimate relationship with multiple people, to have children.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know why, but I see a pregnant Laurie Strode, and I think, if she was that afraid, why would she want to bring a child into this world?
Yeah, but we don't know at what point
You
in her
know.
life that happened, you know.
And that's true. And I guess for me, it's like, this is the kind of instance where it's like, give me some extended universe novelizations because I want to see what led to this moment.
Yeah.
I have
you
like
know.
little theories about kind of what might have happened, but it's just like my own headcanon because
Let's hear it.
it's literally I created it because of like one line of dialogue in the 2018 movie.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Because in the first movie, she's like very much the like studious character, like
Yeah.
usually the better of her friends, like ready to go to college. She's
Yeah,
this
she's like,
teenager.
I don't have time
Yes.
for boys, or whatever she
Yeah.
said to her friends. Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
when she's talking to her granddaughter after her granddaughter sees her out the window and stuff, she's like giving her the money that the podcasters are giving her. She's like, just go like on a trip, go to Mexico or something. She's like, I'll use it for college. And she's like, fuck college.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that must have like changed like a lot about her. Maybe she didn't wind up going to college. She's clearly stayed in like the same place.
yeah, she probably never went.
So maybe she just had like a bad spiral of being stuck in the same town, things like that.
Yeah.
Although I wonder if she really was so paranoid about him coming back, why she didn't move farther away. But that's
She
just
had
a
the
thought.
money to build that shelter and buy
Yeah.
all of those guns, all that ammunition.
She could have moved to Canada
Oh, man,
or
seriously.
across the
Yeah.
states, you know,
That's
away
my
from
only
Illinois.
thing. But I mean, if her family stayed there and
Well-
that's the reason she stayed, then I guess. But
And that's but remember, she says that she'd always hoped he would escape.
oh yeah,
And
She
she
prayed
listened
it.
on the broadcasts, and she knew the exact time of his transfers. So
Yeah.
she also became obsessed with him.
I think
Yep.
she became obsessed with like wanting him to like just die. Like she was upset that he got locked up. Like
Right.
she wanted him to be
Yeah.
like, taken out, and so she can live knowing that he's like dead and gone.
So, she couldn't move away
she
because it
wanted
was
to.
so just in her head that she
Yep.
couldn't just leave it behind,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how afraid she was. That's an interesting thought.
she was such a
of-
cool character.
Yeah, she was.
I love it.
She was.
Agreed.
Let's see. But, you know, while you have that narrative of Laurie going on, you also have the
the
full
granddaughter.
right, the full circle with the next generation of teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, I guess two
Not that, yeah, I was
generations
gonna say
of
it's
teenagers,
three generations of
Strode
women.
Yeah. But of the teenagers with, you know, the babysitter and the boyfriend and the just like the original. So again, the keeping it parallel, keeping his type of victim also very similar.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what like slasher movies are about. Usually it's about like teenagers.
Right, even though he did kill a lot more adults in this movie. But,
True. You get that. You need the sprinkle of like teenage fear.
Right.
On Halloween
Of
night.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like horror movies are like targeted towards teenagers because,
Yeah.
you know, hormones and all that jazz.
Especially
Right.
slashers, because it's usually like teenagers banging and then
Yeah.
dying.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let's address the sprinkling, just because I want to keep moving on so we keep this
little
relatively
bit
shorter than what
Yeah.
we've done in the past. Let's talk about the humor that was sprinkled throughout this film.
Yes.
Something
tasteful.
something not present really in the original.
No, there wasn't very silly in the first
And
one. But
you could definitely see
I mean,
where
some of Laurie's friends.
Danny
would be, but-
McBride.
where Danny
wrote the
McBride
script,
definitely
man, so
took
it's
some
like-
yeah,
That little kid Julian.
Yes!
That was Danny McBride.
100%.
All the way.
I'm sitting over here clipping my nasty,
Nasty
ass
ass
toenails.
toenail.
Yeah.
Shut
Yeah.
up,
Oh,
Dave.
Oh, shit!
Right.
Oh my god, he was the best. I'm glad
But
he
it,
lived.
right, it was
Yes.
good. It wasn't too much.
It was him
Yeah,
and then the
'cause-
the rejected teen on the lawn, I think, like where he's just going on
Right.
about nothing,
Oh,
and he thinks
man.
that Michael is
The
like
neighbor.
the neighbor guy.
Well,
that
yeah,
was
he's
also
He's just,
very
like,
Danny McBride.
drunken, rambling teenager.
He's like, the hot girls were feeding me guacamole. And I don't know. I'm like, that's Danny McBride.
Yeah.
There he is.
Well, and then I
that
love
whole
the
conversation about the sandwich.
yeah, the two cops with the
The
sandwich,
bread.
the bread, and I think because this was kind of earlier in the film, middle of the film, towards the end of the film, it didn't feel like the humor was just over the top or too
No.
much, or that they were trying to make it like a scary movie type thing. It was
For
very
sure.
much just like comedic moments surrounded
And
by
that's one of those things
you
where
know,
it's like
terror.
the only other movie I know that the director made was Your Highness, which is such a lowbrow humor, just like
Yeah.
filthy comedy. And then knowing the kind of movies that Danny McBride has made, I
Right.
see who's associated with the making of this movie, and I'm thinking like, oh man, this is either going to be something really special or something really just like laughable.
I know
but
how
not
much
in a
he
good
likes
way.
the Halloween
I was gonna
movie,
say, I
though.
think they were such
Yeah.
fans. They wanted to do
Exactly.
it justice, and I mean, they did.
And it's like they definitely put their own little touch on it, but you can see the passion that's there for the character and the universe and the mythos, and it's like, oh, they did such a good job.
They did.
sure.
Well, and you have to put your own touch on it and introduce new
Yeah.
characters. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
gonna feel like a reboot when it's not.
Of course.
You know?
I
Of
also
course.
do like the line about the new like psychologist because Donald Pleasance is dead. It's like, oh, you're the new
You're the
Loomis.
new Loomis.
So they do
Yeah.
still acknowledge.
Well, and he said that he was a student of Loomis, and then they had the cassette tapes of Loomis,
In the beginning, yeah.
which it wasn't Donald Pleasance, of course.
Of
but
course.
it was
a
was
little
supposed.
too British.
Yeah, it was
Like
supposed
fake
to be.
American.
So
Should have
again,
gotten Scott Ayala
Yes, Scott
from the
Ayala.
film reroll.
right? give us some Loomis dialogue.
I do also think that because so many of the smaller characters that had the more comedic moments, like the two cops in the car and things, where it's kind of these silly conversations, it establishes them like right off the bat as these likable characters, like real
Yeah.
likable characters, like sharing a moment, and then
For
they just
sure.
get killed off immediately, rather than just like, oh,
Right.
we see the cops sitting on the cop car doing nothing, and then they get killed. We don't have
Yeah.
necessarily
We
don't care.
a response.
Yeah.
But if we have like that moment where we're like on the dash cam, basically
Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to them be buddies, then you feel a little bit more for these characters that were just introduced.
But like Julian lived, so
Julian lives
So
because he's
yeah,
the best.
that's my only critique on this movie is the fact that so many people were killed in it, but they didn't kill the scumbag boyfriend.
yeah. Yeah.
So like, I don't know,
He just
like
got
if
out scot-free.
I know
Because he
and that-
stayed at the high school, and the police like evacuated the high school.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If there's a sequel, I hope there's an arc of where he tries to like get back with her or whatever, and then he ends up getting killed. I
Well,
don't know.
and maybe that's what they were doing to a point, was saving certain characters for later. whether
Yeah,
or not
yeah.
that later ever comes.
Of course.
And that could just be one of those threads that just kind of got left,
Yep.
just left loose end.
Between the boyfriend and the two podcasters, I felt strange to have these characters like introduced kind of so thoroughly just to be
Kill
cast
them off.
aside.
Yeah, they
the
really
boyfriend didn't get killed off, but he was just like, all right, we're done with him.
He wasn't
and then
in
the
the movie.
podcasters were the very intro, that big dramatic intro where they bring the mask to the insane
Yeah,
asylum and all that.
And they establish
and
this
they're
whole
just-
plot of what they're doing, and then they
Yeah.
just die in a bathroom.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Yeah.
no like references again to the investigative journalists really, or podcasting and all
Yeah.
that. But I feel like that was still like a good thing to plot
Still- it was
device
still
for
a good
creating dramatic
scene.
moments.
Yeah,
It's
it
a good
also kind of
scene.
tied it in with the times because it's like podcasts are very much a product of our current generation.
I
Yeah.
was telling Aaron about the movie Tusk, which is a horror comedy from Kevin Smith, and it's horrible. But the
Oh.
premise of that is it's horrible but
Like a
great, but
zombie
horrible.
walrus.
Yes, zombie walrus.
What?
Yes.
Oh my
Well, not
God.
Zombie Walrus. I'll make you watch it, but it starts
Okay.
because it's Justin Long and he's a podcaster looking for a cool story,
Oh,
and he meets this
boy.
man obsessed with walruses, and that's like what sort of struck with me about this one. It reminded me of that like thread of Tusk. I was like, I don't know about this,
Good lord.
That's pretty
but it turned out a little bit better than Tusk, a little bit less
Yeah.
odd.
right.
Well, it
It
sounds
worked.
delightful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the ending, the climax of the movie, where it's finally
Yes.
Laurie versus Michael. And we'll wrap up the
Everything
podcast
led
with
up
this.
to it. Yeah.
Really drawn out sequence of her going through the house and everything, and just
I loved it.
I was gonna say, do you feel like there was too much build up and not enough?
No.
Or
I
if
felt
it-
it was this final climactic showdown. I thought it was just the right amount of build up.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of they show you the clues that she's catching of where he might be, like as she discovers them. Like, is he
Right.
in this room? No. Oh look, blood. Let's follow
Mm-hmm.
this. Is he in this room? No. Shit, the blood goes here. It's on these mannequins. Blah! He comes out from behind the mannequins.
Well, and
you
it was
know?
kind of cool because he was injured. She was hunting him. It was a reversal
exactly.
of roles.
There's yes, and that's
And-
something they briefly touched on. There's like one line where he says like the effect an attack like this could have on the victim, I can't even imagine, or whatever. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
New
yeah.
Loomis
It's like-
is saying something like that, and then he like kind of goes into how he's more curious the effect it would have on Michael, but this idea of like what happens after
they also
surviving this kind of thing.
Yeah, and they also have some line about the dynamic of like predator and prey.
Yes,
Which also like leads into like Laurie being the one sort of hunting him. But my
Yep.
favorite thing about Laurie going through the house, like one room at a time, during most of the other like intense scenes where you're sort of like suspenseful, waiting to see what happened, there's like an undertone of music. When it's
Uh-huh.
Laurie with the gun, no music.
Yeah.
oh, it's dead.
It's
quiet.
just her breathing, which is so like a good reflection of Michael breathing in the first
Oh
one.
yes,
Yeah.
And I was
Oh,
like, yes.
Well,
so
and-
good.
and that
then-
shot where she falls off the balcony.
Exactly. That's what I was about
Yeah.
to say. The
Oh,
end of
so
the
good.
original, it's him hunting her through the house, and then he goes off the balcony, and
And when
when
she
she
looks
looks
back.
over, he's not there.
Exactly.
This one,
But
she's
this
hunting
time-
him through the house. He throws her over the balcony, and when he looks over the edge, her
She's
bodi's
gone.
not there.
So many of the parallel
Yes.
shots are just Laurie in place of Michael. Even the
Yep.
classroom shot, she looks out the window and it's Laurie instead of
Yep.
a spooky serial killer.
So they kind of blurred the lines between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers.
I think it was
There
cool
was
to
a
show how
slight
connected
reversal,
they are too.
reversal
Exactly.
of roles.
Yeah.
And then, of course, no body at the very end.
Just
Yep,
staring up
they
from
never
the
showed it.
basement.
Right.
Loved it.
So, yeah,
And then
very
that-
good film.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I want to go watch it again and again.
I plan on it. Oof. Ooh.
Yeah.
Spooky.
Spooky.
All right. Final thoughts, anybody?
Yeah.
I'm curious because that last shot lingered on Laurie's granddaughter holding Michael's knife covered in blood. If
Yeah.
there's going to be something that happens to her, like it made me think, okay, maybe there's going to be a sequel that opens up with the funeral, Laurie's dead, and now Michael's coming after the granddaughter or something. I don't know. Maybe it's too much. That's where my brain went, though.
I mean, I could see that with her surviving, and also with her boyfriend surviving, seeing them later on, and like, oh no, he's back, etc., etc.,
Etc.
etc. I was hyped for that trailer too, but that's for another time.
Oh, yes.
But I don't know. I loved that movie so much, I thought the pacing was great. A lot of the cinematography was great. I don't know. It was so good.
Yes.
So highly recommend anybody who's listening. All
Yeah,
five of
for
you.
sure.
All 5 of you, right?
Harley Casper, where have you gone? Milky
Yeah.
Flava.
Jesus.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for now.
I think so. It was a good discussion.
Yeah.
Highly
Yeah.
recommend going to see it.
So let us
Short and
know
sweet.
if you've seen the new Halloween movie or not. I sure hope you have if you've listened to this point. Otherwise, we totally spoiled the entire plot.
Oh,
Welcome.
yeah. Probably should put that little disclaimer up.
Well, I did say
We
right
did.
at the beginning that we are going to be, spoiling the
Spoilers.
original
I
and
mean,
the new one. So.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, I can throw it into the little description.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for listening. This podcast can be found, of course, on our YouTube channel where you're probably listening to it, but it is also on iTunes. So if you want to download it there, we would appreciate that.
And keep an eye out for other podcasts.
Exactly. We should have another one
Yes.
coming out just before Halloween, and then maybe something on Halloween Day, question mark.
sure,
Hopefully,
for
we
sure.
would like to do that. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Stay nerdy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the
Oh,
thing that
yeah,
we
I know,
say.
that's why I paused. I was waiting for
I'm
you
gonna
to say
finish
it.
my tea. Here, you
So,
took the earbud back.
Until next time.